The Alpha Sessions.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's Alpha Sessions. Today in the studio I have Joulie Fox.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Oh, thank you for being here. I'm very excited about this one because when I was looking at all your music and all the social media, you've just done a lot. You've done a lot and you're doing a lot and it's all very interesting. So I've got a lot of questions for you and I hope you're ready for that. But first of all, for those who don't know you, where are you from?
I am from Poland.
And how did you find yourself in London?
So when I graduated from drama school in Poland, I got to the point where I didn't know what to do next. So because I was into acting then, and I was thinking about two places. So it was either Warsaw for me or London. And London was always in my head. You know, Harry Potter, and I don't know. It was just always in my head, and also my boyfriend's head. And I was like, well, what do I have to lose? Warsaw will be always there, hopefully. It will be always there, waiting for me. So yeah, that's how I decided to move to London. I came to London to actually study songwriting. Mm. And then I stayed. Yeah.
Where did you study? Are you still studying now?
No. It was just a course. So I was like, I studied for 5 years, and after this, I was like, no, I'm not gonna do any more like long-term studying. So I just wanted to do the course, and it was Point Blank School in London.
Yeah. Nice. And when you were in Poland, how did things begin for you in terms of music? Have you always had a musical family, a whole background?
Never. I don't. No, my family isn't into music at all. So it was my brother actually. Mm-hmm. When I was 10 years old, he brought a guitar home, and I was so fascinated. I was like, I don't know. There was just something resonating with me, and I asked my brother to teach me something. And because we were going to church every Sunday, and we were really like involved into church activity, and he was playing in the church, and he taught me some Christian song then, and I got it so quickly, and then I knew that that's gonna be my instrument, and I was just sitting every day by the computer and looking for the songs that I like and trying to learn the chords.
And were you always a writer of original music, even though, you don't, sometimes you're 10 years old and you think you don't count that as, but it all counts. Were you always an original writer? Yeah,
I started writing songs quite early. So I was in those rock bands and the songs weren't really good, but they were like really difficult, and because English wasn't my first language, and I was always writing in English, I was trying to make it really nice and flowery and grammatically correct. So the songs were really weird, and I don't think there was any sense in the song. It was just some sentences. So I remember my first song, and I went to my English teacher, and she saw it, and she was like, wow, because it was just, you're trying to be different and like be really like poetic, and that's why she was like, wow, this is excellent. So she worked on it a little bit, so it was grammatically correct, and I was always actually writing original songs, and I was never into cover songs until I started busking in London. So
And it's interesting that you wrote in English early on, because I know a lot of countries do learn English from really early age, but do you think that comes from your influence? Did you listen to a lot of English speaking music, or American or English artists?
I was actually listening to Nirvana, Alice in Chains, Pearl Jam, what else? Red Hot Chili Peppers. So these were my influences. But also, I have to say, we have this disco music in Poland, and that was my influence for a very long time in my childhood, because it was everywhere on TV. So it was difficult not to have it as an influence, but I also had a good influence in my life, and it was interesting because I remember on Sundays we were having breakfast. And on TV, we had this music channel, which probably doesn't exist anymore. And it was a mix of some disco Polish music and Prodigy. So really two different sides. Going back to your question, it may be that I was influenced more by English and American music. I don't think I was listening to a lot of Polish songs back then. But I think it was because there was no good influence for me. It was either disco, we call it disco polo. So it was either this or some foreign bands. Yeah.
But isn't that kind of listening to you, that kind of makes sense? Because there's not a distinct this is what she listens to. And whereas a lot of people come from listening to kind of English pop music and they have that, you can really hear it. But in your music, it's unique. It's very unique.
Yeah, I think it's because I never try to sound like someone else. So whenever I try to look for inspiration, I very rarely go to, YouTube to listen to some artists, because that's not my goal, to sound like someone else. And I feel like whatever I create, I let it be the way it is, rather being like, maybe I should change this part to make it sound more pop, or like make it sound more like someone else. An example. So when I started working on my EP with James, our first session, he was really well prepared. He prepared 5 tracks. So before the session, he asked me what type of music I'm into. So I sent him a few references, and he had 5 tracks ready, and they were all amazing, but they all sounded like someone else. And at some point, James said, you know what, just use my keyboards, try something. And that's how we wrote our first song together. So my goal is to write what I feel rather than inspire myself with sounds of other artists. Yeah.
And you mentioned somebody called James.
Yes.
Is that so? He's a producer.
Yes,
that you work with.
He's also a folktronica artist. So he used to have a really great career. He was playing big festivals and selling a lot of albums. And now he's more into production, but he still releases his own music. So we met through a publishing company, and they sent me to him for my first songwriting session, and it was my first songwriting session, and I was so terrified because I couldn't really imagine being in one room with a stranger and go through very intimate for me process. But yeah, it turned out to be quite easy if you find the right person, and he was the right person. And I also loved that he wanted to finish the song on the day. So we met at 10 a.m., which was also crazy for me, super early. And I think we worked till like 3 or 4 p.m. and we had the whole song finished then. Wow. It wasn't like the final state, but we had everything we needed. So I also loved that part, that he didn't let me to give up at some point and be like, okay, we're going to finish it next time. We just finished the whole thing, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to have that structure, isn't it, when you're on your own? Because some people are really good at just pushing themselves, having routines and stuff, but
not me.
No, that's what was going to be my next question. Yeah. When you write on your own, did you find that it was more, did you have a lot of half-written songs and you never went back to them, or do you like to?
Well, I don't have many, but I do have some, and I try to finish the songs, but I found out that the songs that you write in one take, they're the best ones. Yeah. And if you try to finish something, it's a hard work, and sometimes you get stuck and you feel like it's forced. So sometimes if I feel that the song doesn't have a huge potential, I'm like, okay, just let it go. But if I feel like it has potential, I always finish it at some point. But usually it doesn't happen very often. Usually I write the whole thing, and even if it's not finished production wise, I do have structure. I have verses, choruses, and then I can change something later if I feel like it. Yeah.
Was that the case with Fever, would you say? How do you remember writing that one? That's the first one you played for us today.
Yeah, how okay, that's a funny story, because I was about to play my first big festival in Poland, and I needed some more songs. I was like, I don't have material for an hour. So I was actually pushing myself to write. And with Fever, yeah, it was easy peasy. I just sat down and I had this story in my head. It's not my story. I didn't kill anybody. And yeah, I don't chase guys. So yeah, I'm not. But yeah, it was just, I sat down, I played some keyboard, and I wrote lyrics. Yeah, so this was quite easy and fast process.
Do you do that quite often, though? You make up a story, or is it always personal? Do you like to make little stories?
Actually, before my EP, it always had to be personal. So it always had to be from my heart. But with this EP, I don't know, the story started coming to me, and I feel like not everyone knows that I have this funny side of me, and I'm really into comedy, and I like those dry jokes, and I just feel like with these songs that I put on my EP, especially Fever and 1985, they show a little bit of my humor, and they're not my stories.
I met you by my house smoking a cigarette. You gave me that look like nobody else. Your deep blue eyes on my skinny neck. I was yours in seconds. You could have whatever. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You be my forever friend. You said I'll be yours till the very end. I knew loving you is a pact with the devil. Then we started falling deeper into the hell. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. And I gave you my soul, and you took all my light, and you just disappeared, only kissing me twice. Then I took your car, then I loaded the gun. I was driving all night. I will find you tonight. Tonight, you give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else. You give me fever. You give me fever. You give me fever like nobody else.
The Alpha Sessions.
I think this whole EP, and what's the title of the EP?
Love is a blessing.
I think the whole thing is very polished. Like, it looks like it's like a whole package, and there's nothing in it that I felt was missing, which is really. And you mentioned stylist, and I really want to talk to you about stylist, because it's something that I think is very difficult to get hold of unless you know the right people, or you can find the people you trust. Because that really contributed to the whole EP, I think, was the way it all looks. Everything is so like fluent. I don't know, everything looks like it matches very well.
Yeah, I think I had really clear idea of what I want. So I knew exactly what I want, and it was just a matter of finding people that are able to do this type of hairstyle. Obviously, we had let's say the picture that I have on my EP on the cover. So the hairstyle, we came up with this on the day. But I knew what I want. So I think that was a huge help, that I wasn't just blindly trying to do something. I knew exactly what I want for everything that I was including on this EP. Yeah,
I think that's actually a rare thing. A lot of artists, including myself, constantly they have the idea, and then they can get 50% of the way there, and then the details are sort of like you're just trying to feel your way.
Yeah.
So to have that clarity of vision,
and that's what's expensive, because then you need to find people that will
do it exactly how you want it.
So I feel like and also with the whole cover and the design of EP, I did it all myself. My boyfriend was helping me with technical things and where to move the captions a bit to right or left, but I did it myself. And I think it's good to try to learn many things if you're a musician, especially if you're not signed to any label, because that's going to save you a lot of money. And then you have a lot of control over what you're doing. But I'm not saying there's anything wrong in, just letting other people to decide, because you don't have to. Like, if you don't feel like it, you don't have to decide. But if you have a clear vision, sometimes it's better to learn things yourself.
But you came up with all these ideas by yourself, and you had help from friends, but is there anyone else in your musical career that, like a team, do you have a manager, or is that something you're working towards?
Well, I work with a few people, but I don't have anybody that sticks with me. So I don't have anybody that works for me for free. Let's be honest. So I obviously with all PR and promotion, I need people to help me with that, because you won't be able to reach some places yourself. But no, actually no, I didn't have anybody that was my coach through the journey. But I have to say, my boyfriend was a really good coach. So even though he's not in music business, he was always, with all my ups and downs, he was always taking me up again. I have him, and that's my blessing. But I didn't have anybody who was actually calling me, hey, start working. So it's a difficult process, and I think you know that. It's difficult. You have to organize your days, you have to organize your shots, your schedule. So it's a lot of hard work, and it's a full-time job, and it's not always easy to do all of that, write music, and also be your own like life coach.
Yeah, exactly. But how different do you think that EP would have been if you were signed, for example? Like, is that something you're interested in? Do you think it would have affected it, or do you think it was always going to be that way?
I am interested, definitely, because I feel like at some point you're not able to do all of that and be regular. It costs a lot of money. definitely. So I think that's the main thing. You can, if you're signed, you can then focus more on the music and on your ideas, and then there are people that do the rest for you. So I find it really useful, and it gives you freedom and a peace of mind, I would say. But then on the other hand, it depends. Like if you're their main artist, they will take care of you all the time. But it may happen that you have your album ready, and then they will be like, yeah, we need some more time, and they will be holding you back. So yeah, I think there's two sides to this story, and I'm not really sure if the EP would be different. Probably it would be, because I had a conversation with one label, and they said, "Oh, Bring Me and Fever, they're bangers, but we would change the structure a little bit and make them more pop," and that's what this made me like, nah.
Yeah.
So I feel like I may be a difficult person to be actually signed. If they want someone they can direct, I may be a difficult person, because I like to have control over a lot of things. Even my boyfriend, he gets annoyed with me because, you know, like I know what I want for the video, and I'm like, I know I have a script, I know, and of course I'm open to ideas, but I just know what I want. So I feel like if someone, that may be a good thing, but for some labels it may be also a bad thing. So I guess it's it depends who you are signed to.
Yeah, there are definitely labels out there, maybe more independent ones that haven't got quite a frontal sort of audience. They haven't got a big audience, but they would give you more control. Yeah,
I think that's better for them, because you just bring like a ready project. Yeah, they just need to take care of technical aspects usually and give you money.
Oh yeah, but you do seem like you've kind of got everything, a good balance at the moment. I don't know how it feels, but from the outside, like you're on Patreon, and which is another thing I'm interested in, because that's like changing it from just this creative life to a business, and that's something that a lot of people struggle with, I think, is the bridging the gap between it being a business and just treating it as like your heart and soul. So how is it on Patreon?
Well, it's why did I even start Patreon? Yeah, okay. It was in 2020, so when all the gigs were cancelled, and I was terrified in March. I was like, oh, what am I gonna eat now? So I was trying to find quick ways of how to actually make any money then, and that's how I started. And it's a really nice place to be. Especially with me as a busker, because that puts me in front of a lot of people from different countries, and there's a lot of people that actually want to support you because they saw you, and there's this this relationship that you build because you saw someone. It's different to seeing someone online, and then seeing someone live, and then seeing how they progress in life. So I don't have that many people there, but I really like the space, and it also keeps me organized, and it keeps me motivated because I know I need to deliver content. Yeah,
that's a good point, actually, because it's not just, I always think about it as just an extra thing that you're doing, or like it's your daily life, but you're showing it to people. But it is, you have to keep up with it. It's like,
you need to, because then people will be leaving.
Yeah, and that scares me.
Yeah, it's a little bit uncomfortable, but at the same time, I feel like, if they didn't want to support you, they wouldn't. Like, well, you don't have to feel guilty. You just give them opportunity. If they want to, they do that. Like, you don't force anybody. So obviously there will be people saying like, oh, go to work, like find a job. Why are you even doing this? Like, stop begging for money. But you don't force these people. It's not like, oh, guys, I'm starving, give me some money. It's like you offer something if they want to support you. And I personally support other artists on Patreon, so I find it really interesting from the point of view of a fan, because you get to see things before the official release, and you see the things that never are going to be released. So it's really interesting.
It's nice, like another way of just connecting with community.
Yeah,
I guess.
definitely.
And that's,
yeah.
I think it's definitely become popular after being in a lockdown scenario, and now everybody's trying to connect online again. But in terms of live music, instead of being online all the time, now we can get back out there. I want to talk about your busking, because I didn't know that you were a busker before this. So how did that begin? Was it in London, or did you busk in Poland?
So I did busk in Poland. It was the last summertime before I moved to London. It was because I wasn't able. So I previously I worked at the theater, and it wasn't the season anymore. So I also knew that I'm leaving in September. So I was like, what do I do? And I took my guitar, and even though I was a little bit uncomfortable because some people knew me in the city already, and it was like kind of like I felt like I'm downgrading myself. Like, I know it's cruel what I'm saying, but that's how I felt then. And also I feel like in Poland, people, no offense, but they can be really judgmental. And I felt a little bit insecure. But I went, I was playing, I was busking in my almost hometown, and it was going really well, actually. And then I moved to London. I already had this small amplifier that I bought for the streets of Poland. And I took it with me because I had only £200 in my pocket. And I didn't know if that's a lot, how long can I live on it for. And I was like, okay, I always have my guitar, and I can go on the streets. And my first busking slots were really bad because I didn't know where to go. So I was like randomly standing in some places. And like, I remember my first one, I made £5. But then it got better and better. And I feel like it was also my energy, because my first one, I was so scared and I was so uncomfortable, and I was just like this on the street with my head down. So yeah, it was definitely difficult to attract people.
It's really revealing, isn't it? It's like you see hundreds of people and it feels so impersonal, but at the same time you get that feeling, people are listening. But do you do covers when you busk, or do you do
mostly covers. So I play a few of my original songs, but mostly covers. And that's what makes you money. So that you go busking, like, okay, if you go busking to promote your material, then that's a different story. But if you go to make money, you need to play covers, which I don't mind. It made me learn guitar even more. It made me learn singing even more. So yeah, it was a good thing. Yeah.
For new songs that you've written, say you wrote a song the night before you do to go busking, would you ever just like try it out if you've just written something and you wanted to see whether people like it?
If it's not an organized gig where they pay me, then yes, of course, I always test my songs, and usually the first plays are really bad.
But maybe to you, maybe other people would hear it straight away, love it. The second song you played for us was not one you've released, Unlovable. And that was something you've written recently, or was that something you've been sitting on? And
it's when did I write it? A few months ago, and it's actually a song that was inspired by not only my life, but I work with young people, and I was inspired by what I saw, and the song tells a story of a person that was neglected by parents in childhood or by the loved ones, and it's quite a sad one, but it's gonna be upbeat. That's what I do with my music, so I put really sad lyrics and then I add this upbeat disco layer to it, so I cry on the dance floor kind of.
standing on my own, trying to heal. All my wounds are bleeding, they won't stop bleeding. The waves are coming, they're too high to jump. I'm seeking your attention, I'm so blind. All I ever needed was you loving me. My wounds are bleeding, they won't stop bleeding. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging for your love now. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging, begging. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging for your love now. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging, begging. Trying to heal, I've been standing on my own. All I ever needed was to feel some love, to get your love. The sun is down, it's too dark to see. Oh, if I had a chance, if you stayed with me. All I ever needed was you loving me. My wounds are bleeding, they won't stop bleeding. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging for your love now. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging, begging. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging for your love now. I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable, I'm so unlovable. I'm begging, begging.
The Alpha Sessions.
And that's actually the song, Eurovision contest.
Oh, yeah.
So recently, Polish people are crazy about Eurovision. They're like, whenever they see a new artist, they're like, you should try Eurovision, go. And I had a few messages, and then even one day I woke up and my friend sent me this list of people that, I don't know where they take it from, but I was on the list of people interested of applying to Eurovision competition. I was like, what? Where? How? But I was like, well, maybe it's a sign from the universe, and I think that I'm thinking now to work on that song and send it to Polish Eurovision competition where they select the person that goes to play live. So that's what I'm gonna do.
That'd be amazing. Because it's different. I think that everywhere you go in Europe, it's a little bit different. The way people think of Eurovision.
Yeah.
I'm not sure what it's like in England. I think it's like Marmite in England, isn't it? It can be a bit.
Oh, okay.
It can be like, yeah, Eurovision, and let's have a Eurovision party. And other parts are a bit like they don't want to hear anything.
I think that's the
about it.
same. I
Is
think
it
that's
same
the same
everywhere?
in Poland, but for some reason people just get. It's like if you go to Eurovision, that's gonna like
Change your...
like that's gonna change your career forever.
Change the way people think about you.
Yeah,
I think it's the same with talent shows like X Factor or
Yeah.
The Voice. If you're known for that, then you can kind of never shake it off. But people do. Like, some is such a good platform to jump up
Yeah.
off.
No, I mean, I think there's at some point in your life you need to figure out this and understand that if you feel like doing something, just go and do it, because you can't overthink things and be like, yeah, but it's a little bit cringe. Yeah, for some people it is, but if you feel like it, just go and do it. Like you can, well, it can go both ways. It can, like, you can get nothing from it, but you can get something that may help with your career. Yeah.
It depends how you use it
Yeah,
in the end, I
yeah,
suppose.
definitely.
Yeah, that's right, actually.
Yeah.
I think people do think too much about what everybody else
Yeah.
thinks about them, even though that is an important part, because they're the
Yeah.
people that are sort of your audience. But yeah, even if you did Eurovision, you've got your own career already that if people found out about you through that, they'd look at the rest of your career.
Yeah, I don't think there's like,
and you
I
do
feel
so
like,
much.
I feel like, like people will be always saying things and they'll be like, yeah, don't do that. No, that's not good. You shouldn't. But if you feel it, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think I get that vibe off you this whole time. It's just like, yeah, just do it, And that's why I feel like you do a lot. You get so much going on. And something I've just remembered is that you had like an electro pop trio or like a band, something called Chile. Is it called Chile?
Yes.
What is that? Where did that come up?
So I was playing in a band when I was in Poland, and that's how we moved as a band to London. And then it kind of like I met new people, and those people that were in the band originally, they went back to Poland. So that's how it started. And I was like always a person that wanted to be in a band. So there was no Joulie Fox back then, and it was just my band. But at some point I understood that it's difficult to be in the band, especially if you're a leader and you have to do everything yourself. So it's like having a solo project, but carrying 4 people on your back. And then you think, okay, it's so much work. And sometimes when the opportunities come, you want to do it, but then they will be like, no, I have something that day, I can't. And you're like, oh, but I want to do it. So I'm still in a band, but I took my solo project more seriously, and I feel like this is where I can actually decide. And whenever something comes up, and if I feel like it's the right thing for me to do, I will postpone everything else and I'll do it because I want to, and I don't have to rely on other people. Yeah.
But you still play with musicians when you're live, I suppose, because you did a launch party at the Waiting Room, right?
Yeah. So I play. It depends on the situation. When I play in Poland, I play solo. I have all those electronic equipment with me. I have guitar, and I don't feel like I need someone on the stage, but it's good to have someone. Like it's a different vibe. So in London, it's easier for me because that's where I live now. And in Poland, it will be just, I feel like it would be just a waste of money and time to find someone and rehearse, and you need to find someone you resonate with. So in London, I have this opportunity to actually work with people, and this is where I live, so I don't have to go to another country to rehearse. I played my album launch concert with a drummer, and it was amazing, and I feel like it gave this cool extra energy on the stage. And yeah, it's definitely it's a totally different vibe, but at the same time, as a musician, you need to decide when is it worth it to actually invest into extra musician, because it's a different story when you're a solo musician, solo singer, and you need a musician to play with you. Then you have to pay them, and you have to take care of them as someone you hired. And when you have a band, it's a different story, because these people, they just play with you. Whatever happens, if you get 50 quid, you divide it into 5 people. So yeah.
So this is where you are now. What's coming up in the next year?
Eurovision.
Apart from Eurovision.
No, I'm kidding. I do have a few songs already that I want to release. There's one Polish song that I wrote recently, and I don't think it's going to be out this year because it's more of a summer vibe. So I feel like maybe it would be a waste to put it out in winter time. But you never know. Maybe people will be like, oh, thank you for bringing this summertime. But I have a few songs. So for now, I'm going to focus on releasing singles and yeah, just still celebrating my EP release, and maybe in the future I'm gonna make another album, a long play, but I feel like I need people. So either a label or some management that would help me, because it was so much work with this one, and I don't remember it now. It's all gone, but the struggle was real, and I cried a lot of times, and even like designing my cover, I cried so many times, even like calling the printing company, because the words they use, like a regular person won't understand. And you think you finished, and you're like, yes, and then you call and they give you those terms, and you're like, what is this? I just want a digipack, please. So yeah, it's a very difficult process, and I'm really proud of myself that I've done it. But at the same time, it's good to have people that you can work with and that will back you up. Yeah,
absolutely. But I feel like you've made so much progress between each song, because you were saying earlier, you just keep releasing and just keep doing what you feel you need to do.
Yeah.
And the third song you played is an older one.
Yes.
That was it called Don't Be
Shy.
Don't Be Shy. From years ago, a couple of years ago now.
Yeah, it was 2020. It was actually the first one that we wrote with James.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like the artwork for this one.
Aww.
It's a good artwork. But all the artworks, I feel like there's a lot of work that goes into everything. And I really like this one again. But they all work really well acoustically. And yeah, it's all just brilliant. So it's been brilliant having you here.
Oh,
and we've enjoyed every second.
I enjoyed it as well.
Thank you for coming in. If everyone wants to find you on social media or anywhere else, what should they search?
Everywhere. It's Joulie Fox. So yeah, that's really consistent. Anywhere you go, you type Joulie Fox with O between J and U, and you find me. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Joulie Fox.
Thank you.
Feel itchy under my skin, taking deep breaths are out and in. The pressure's growing, the pressure's growing. My pulse is racing, my heart stays still, I can hardly move. What do you feel? My mind is blowing, my mind is blowing. I wish the rain was coming to wash this out. I'm waiting for a thunder, I'm paralyzed. Where is this going? Where is this going? Where is this going? Shake, shake, shake your body like that. Move, 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 move like a star. Come on, you've got it. Ooh, you've got it. Come on, you've got it. Oh, don't be shy. The sun is slowly melting my skin. I'm trying my best just to breathe in. I think I'm going. I might be going. I might be going. The world has stopped, or it's maybe just me. I wanna move so badly, so everyone freeze. I think I'm going. I think I'm going. I think I'm going soon. I might be going home soon. I know there's more we can do. Why are we stuck in this loop? Oh, 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 better move. Shake, shake, shake your body like that. Move, 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 move like a star. Come on, you've got it. Ooh, you've got it. Ah, you've got it. Oh, don't be shy. Don't be shy.